Hello everyone, it's Zaferengin, and in this video I will show you the testing process of an application so-called Favorite Books app. The Favorite Books app is an application which allows the user to store his or her favorite books information. The user can list and display the books by searching for their titles, keywords, and IDs. In this video, this application will be tested by using various testing methods to confirm its adequacy. Let's start with the function displayImage. To briefly describe this function, it displays a cover image of a book specified by the user. There are several expected outputs based on the given input. For instance, if the ID is between the 0 and 5, it will display the cover image, whereas if it's greater than 5, it won't. Based on the given cases, the following equivalence class table and boundary value analysis table can be constructed. After that, we derive test inputs to insert into automated GUI testing program. To test the AdBook feature, I've decided to employ the decision table method as there is a moderate number of inputs required for it. Now let's start with the GUI automated testing process. Automated test is done. Now let's take a look at the testing results. According to the result, during the testing of the displayImage function, there is an erroneous case occurred. If we check to see in which input it gives error, we will see that for the input 999 and so on, there is a string mismatch. We have expected the error message given input is too big, but instead we got the error message book with the given ID does not exist. This is where the error case has occurred during the test. Moving on to the next report for the boundary test, there appears to be an error in this part as well. This time the input that caused the failure is 0 and there is a string mismatch just like the previous test. We have expected given ID is not a valid input, but instead we have received book with the given ID does not exist. For the AdBook automated GUI test, there exists no error and it passed all of the test cases. Now it comes to the part where we will delete one of the books. Delete book function allows us to delete any book we want removed from the list. Just like the previous functions, an equivalence class can be constructed for delete book feature as well. For the delete book function, I have decided to write a JUnit test. I have created 4 different methods for each test case and performed the required examination to see whether the delete operation was successful or not. When we run this JUnit test with coverage, we will see that all of the methods were executed without any error, and the green highlights on the code indicate that the methods were fully covered. We can also see that in the bottom of the screen that the delete book function were covered 100%. Now it's time to summarize our test report. Let's start with the displayImage function. DisplayImage function had 2 erroneous cases. The inputs that caused the errors were 0 and a massive number such as 999 all the way up to 12 digits. When we inserted those inputs, we couldn't have received the error messages we have expected. The AdBook seems to be running perfectly without any error. According to its results, there was no error detected during the test process. Here's the book list before we call the AdBook function. Notice that there already exist 9 books on the list with the ID starting from 1 all the way up to 9. And this is the list after the AdBook function was called. As you might easily notice, Crime and Punishment with the ID 10 was added to the list. Now let's move on to the delete book function. Delete book function was tested against 4 different inputs and all of them produced outputs as expected. Delete book was also covered completely, meaning that no statement of that function was left uncovered. To practice the delete book function, I have decided to delete the recently added book Crime and Punishment. This is the list before we call the delete book function. And this is the list after we use the delete book feature. As it can be seen, the book Crime and Punishment has disappeared. Overall, it can be said that only one of the 3 functions, which is displayImage, has failed testing process. If the developer considers to make this code completely error-free, then he or she should at least attend to those errors and fix the problem that is causing these errors in the displayImage function. With that being said, we have reached to the end of the video, and thank you so much for watching it.